Well, hello there. We're back again. But I want to circle back to one of the videos I did earlier that demonstrated the extent I went to take back my power. But I also wanted to tell you that I understand that not everybody is in that drastic mode. I do understand not everybody can pack up everything and disrupt their life in the way I did. But those were my options. But I want to give you some little day-to-day things that you may not have thought about. But those are the things that help contribute to the dysfunction that you call your life. So I'm going to give you a simple example of what taking back your PumPumPower looks like. Here we go. So I love cooking. I love cleaning. I love housework. I find such joy in it. But the thing is, through the years, I've been spoiled. I don't like leftover food. So I love cooking. Every day I'm in the kitchen. And since COVID, I would say, with the inability to go to restaurants and stuff like that, my cooking was elevated to restaurant level because I wanted restaurant food, but I couldn't go to a restaurant. So there we go, the teacher YouTube, right? And I would experiment and try all these recipes and stuff. And guess what? The man I was living with, he loved it even more than I did. He loved my cooking because he got restaurant food in the comforts of his own home. But just around that same time, when my cooking skills started to take a more professional form, I also decided it was time to go back to what I knew best, which is technology. So I've been in the trenches of technology from the first laptop. That's how long. And I've always had my foot in the technology world in some version of another. Either it was, a software design specialist or, a hardware person that walked around the building fixing things, and I developed many different software. So I found myself thinking, with the birth of AI and all the things that's coming down the pike, and I have all this time on my hand, it's time to go deep now. Time to end my career with a bash. So I got into this bright idea that I was going to become an internet marketer and develop software or website for people, solve their problems. So that's, and that involved training myself. So I started to buy all this software and implement this and implement that. And then I suffered from this shiny object syndrome, where I had so much, I didn't know what to choose and which one to focus on. So I started to feel some level of angst because now that I'm in the trenches with all of this software, I have to finish something. But at the same time, I'm the perfect housewife. I cook, I clean, I have fresh food, I do laundry, I do the yard myself because I don't want no man with no weed whacker introduce the weed whacker to my plants. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about, right? Even when they help you plant it, the minute they have a weed whacker, that's it, it's gone. But anyway, so I found myself feeling a little overwhelmed. So now I have all my normal work to do, and suddenly I have all this extra work to do that demands my full attention. So I'm no longer 100% in the house. I have to start giving up little things that I usually do. So instead of cutting the grass once every 6 days, I started to cut back because I just didn't have an extra 2 hours a day just to go plant and talk to plants and stuff like that, right? So there I was. And I'm thinking, my ex, he would come home and, he worked very hard once he goes out of the house doing his thing. But once he come home, sometimes 3 o'clock, sometimes 4 o'clock, sometimes 9 o'clock, he had different times. His routine was to sit in front of the TV, turn on Netflix, and forget that life was happening around him. So after I, go through the cooking ritual, and as I said, it was never simple food. I had to get complicated and sophisticated. I realized that, wait a minute, I need help. So I started to ask for help in cleaning up the kitchen. And there was pushback. And eventually, we would end up in these arguments over the dishes. Now, just imagine this. I am the one that gets up, go to the bank, go to the grocery, shop for all the nice ingredients, come back home, take it out of the trunk, put it in the fridge, and on any given day, I will be like, so what do you want to eat today? And I would go focus and prepare exactly what he wants to eat today. So that was my routine. His routine, come home, take a shower, grab the remote, and vegetate until I say, the dinner is on the table, honey. And he would sometimes take his dinner in front of TV, or sometimes he would even come to the table. And after we finish eating, he would leave the table with the dishes on the silver platter that I served him on, exactly that way. So that's why I began to get a little like, oh, well, the least you can do is help me do the dishes, because now I have, in addition to all the work that I normally would do, I have all of these assignments and meetings and Zoom and clients that I now am dealing with. But for some reason, no matter how I phrase it, no matter how I position it, no matter how I negotiated it, the results were the same. And eventually said to me, yeah, nobody told you go and get a second career. Nobody told you to do internet marketing. So you figure it out. If you don't have time to do dishes, you figure it out. You can just imagine where my head went, right? It sort of exploded. But it didn't take long to figure out what my next move was going to be. So I'm thinking, wait a minute, June. If you think about it and you really be honest about it, who creates the dishes? Not you? You're the one running to the grocery. You're the one asking him, what do you want to eat today? You're the one that's creating the problem. So guess what June did? I'm glad you asked. June stopped doing what June does. I hope you're hearing this, right? I didn't argue with him. I didn't fight with him. I didn't go into World War III with him. I just stopped doing what June does, which is go to the grocery, cook the dinner, put it on a silver platter, and beg him to do dishes. We weren't going to do that anymore. So June stopped cooking. So at first, it was like, a little irritation. He would walk in the door and do his thing, still looking for remote and grab a beer and sit in front of TV. And then, 6 o'clock would turn to 7 and nothing's happening in the kitchen. And it was like, what happened? So you're not cooking no more? What happened? You don't know I'm hungry? I just love it, right? So suddenly we have a problem. So I let that percolate unattended to for a while until it started to boil over into vicious argument. How I don't cook for him no more. What kind of thing is this? If you don't want me eat here in the house, I'll go eat someplace else. Okay, ladies. I am sure you had some version of this, right? And then I said, in all honesty, honey, wow, I didn't realize it, but I don't like doing dishes. I never realized it before, but you know what? I don't like doing dishes. And I realize that I am the culprit here. I am the problem in this relationship because I continually create dishes every evening. You see? And I don't want to be fighting with you over my problem. That's my problem. So I decided I was not going to create dishes and then harass you about doing dishes. That's not fair. So what do you think happened next? Suddenly, he was eager to help do dishes. Suddenly, the problem I had for months and months, suddenly that disappeared. Why? 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 I'm glad you're asking yourself. Why? Because I changed the narrative. I figured out that I was part of the problem. I was contributing to the problem. So instead of walking around being upset with him, being annoyed with him, being distraught, feeling disrespected, feeling not seen, feeling like I'm not here and you don't even feel my pain. Mind you, my pain meant that I was working a lot longer hours than he is, because in addition to the day-to-day work that I was still responsible for, I was now taking on an 18-hour project every day just to keep up, to learn new skills, develop my ability, and then to market myself. So my day was like a 24-hour day all, most of the time. Whereas his day was once he finished work, the rest of the day was Netflix. Netflix owned his time. So I am saying all of this and I'm using this example so that when you find yourself complaining, eternally complaining about being victimized in your home, check this out. Start to look at the little things that creates the dysfunction. Start looking at the little things that you take for normal, you take for granted as part of your responsibility in the house. Start looking at those things because that's where the solution lies for you. You get that? Start looking at the things that you do on automatic pilot there as a woman, as the woman of the house. And you would start uncovering there are tons of little things that you can do to start shifting the dynamic and taking back your power. That's what I call, that's a true example of taking back your power. You see? You don't have to go into World War III over some of the things that you argue and fight about. But what you could do is recognize how you help contribute to that particular issue and remove yourself from doing it. Stop doing what you're doing. And you would start seeing a different kind of results. Now, I just want to warn you, the different results may not be, well, he starts contributing or participating. It may be the beginning of the end of the relationship. But in a funny way, the sooner you get there, the sooner you will be free to get into a different type of relationship that supports you, that nurtures you, that considers you, that, you know, shows you some level of help, that builds you up rather than tear you down. Okay? So I'm going to cut this short and leave you with that perspective. And I want to see you start implementing those little baby strategies that could get you unstuck and out the damn door, if that's where you choose to go. Thank you.